Well, hello out there, friends and neighbors. It's your back porch commentators coming to you from somewhere in Missouri, where a firm handshake means more than your signature, and a cold drink can help solve almost any problem. That's what we're planning to do here, bring you along on our journey to the answers to life's questions. You'll get a few facts and a lot of opinions, but remember, we're probably intoxicated and definitely full of shit. So pull up a chair and settle in while we explore some of those most thought-provoking questions. Like, why is a man bun a thing? Alright, everybody, welcome back for episode 14 and back to school special. So, we're kind of excited about this episode. we got a lot of stuff to cover, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the camera and I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, it's recording. Okay, it's in the counter.
The red, yeah. We're good.
We're new. Don't judge me. It is what it is.
It wouldn't be the first time we lost something.
Right. That's why I kind of was like, good. Oh, we fucked this up before. So, man, I'll tell you what, like last week we kind of went into it blindly and just shot the shit. And this week I've got like pages and pages of random shit that came into my my mind.
I got lines.
I've snorted lines. Cocaine.
Yeah. Don't compare to no Waylon Jennings lines. But, my God. We'll get through it.
Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna finish.
Speaking of that, we have t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts.
I'm gonna mention earlier in the episode this time we do have t-shirts. If you go to the Facebook, I'll share a link on there. I'm going to try to get a link on the YouTube also. On the YouTubes for the Utes out there.
Was I going to say, were we going to add the hashtag?
That's where I was kind of going with it.
Yeah.
Last episode I named it that. I was like, just because of that. And I was like, well, do I not? We'll see. I did, and I was like, well, I'm not going to share it on my personal page.
Grandma's was 50 Shades of Maggie.
Maybe my wife won't see it. I don't know. Whatever.
You've done worse than a t-shirt.
It is what it is, Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to school special.
Yeah. You had this idea a couple weeks ago.
Well, I guess that's kind of why. Like, if you're watching on the video, it's kind of why I went with the. It reminded me of Mark Hamill in that movie. What was that? Summer School. That's what we looked at, wasn't it? It was Summer School with Mark Hamill in 1987, and he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt the whole time. Or maybe I could go, Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Spicoli and the Ray-Bans and it just felt like
every late 80s movie.
Every cliched, and I'm an 80s baby, so I'm wearing it.
Definitely.
And then tonight for dinner we had basically some sliders, but a lunch meat sandwich and some Pringles, and got our cosmic brownies, if you can hear that.
Yes.
And then back to the basics. Back to the classic Jack Daniels tonight.
Oh yeah.
I did bring back some of this, because this is kind of high schoolish too. This wasn't around when we were in high school.
Right.
But this is something that this would be our version of, like, today's version would be our version of, like, Mad Dog.
Yeah.
It's like Kool-Aid with a little liquor.
Definitely.
And we thought it was cool because it was called Mad Dog.
Mad Dog.
Yeah, that means it's rough, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like something Ice-T or Snoop Dogg would have drank, and that was, back before they were household names.
For Zima.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Speaking of high school.
Yeah. I had a couple emails and a couple messages, you said.
Yeah. Well, interesting message from Jesse.
Yeah. I mean, that picture, the top one I would be okay with sharing.
That was high school.
That was high school.
Definitely, yeah.
The bottom one was not high school, but I mean, I've been doing the same shit for 25 years, so I mean, it's really not that far off.
Just take off about 20 pounds.
Yeah, 20 pounds. Jesus, actually, when I graduated high school, I weighed 112 pounds.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
And now my fat ass is up to about 170. So,
well,
Dad,
you are my ideal weight. So
I am not my ideal weight.
If I can make it to your weight, which I would look like a fucking cancer patient.
Here's my problem. My thing is if I buy jeans and my waist is a larger number than my inseam, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I just refuse to do that. And I'm right at the equivalency. I'm wearing a 31, 32. And but when I started working and I bought this house, I was wearing a 28, 32. And, I've always thought that 4 inches really didn't look like that much, but when you're talking about your pant size, it really...
Yeah. Well, and just so you know, the camera adds 20 pounds. So...
Hold on, I'm going to get my dick out.
What you see here, it ain't real. All right?
Yeah, but my dick just went from 6 ounces to 20 pounds in 6 ounces. No wonder Pornhub's so popular.
Yeah, look at that.
It's like the amateur hour. Shit.
Well, that makes you really worry about something else.
Right.
You're like, oh
wow.
Yeah, you're really struggling.
But what's one thing that'll flash you back to the first day of school? Even now, throw you back.
Honestly, I was that kid that never did his homework.
Right.
Same here. And so, to this day, when I see school supplies come out in the store, I get that anxiety.
You fucked up.
Shit,
I
didn't do the assignment. The project's due today, and I didn't do it. And wow, that and literally every Sunday night, I almost get that, especially through the school year.
Right.
And with kids being in school, I guess maybe if I didn't have kids,
it wouldn't be as bad.
It wouldn't affect me as much, maybe. But I kind of get it. The anxiety for them, I guess.
Hoping they didn't forget something.
I don't know, right? Yeah. What do you mean you ain't got no homework? It's Friday,
right?
Are you sure?
Let's get this done at the beginning of the weekend.
Yeah.
Jack hadn't hit that stage yet, so I'm not. I don't know. Maybe I will get it at that point. I don't know. I think it's cleaners. Anytime I step into a federal building, and that kind of goes shitty in the bigger post offices when I go into those, because it flashes me back to school. It flashes me back to the buildings, that were on the bases that I, and it's just, that
old industrialized kind of
that. The cleaner, the generic cleaner. We just wax this.
Yeah.
Kind of smell. That'll throw me back. But no, other than that, it's just school buses. I smell a school bus. It's going to pick Jack up off the bus. I'll meet him at the door or something.
Yeah.
It's whew. Get that smell of hot vinyl. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Buddy.
Oh, that's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and of course, there's other times that remind me. Of high school. Like if I smell my fingers after a first date.
Later.
What are you talking about? That was 6th grade, man.
Yeah.
It was 6th grade for me. That's the only way I passed biology.
Speaking of biology, one of the questions I posed online was favorite teachers.
Right.
Shout out to your crush if you had a crush, or what was it? Teacher's crush. If you had a crush on a teacher, right?
Right.
I did get a couple of comments about the biology teacher in high school. I don't know if you remember her.
Right.
Bickford.
Right. Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. She seemed to be the one. It was yeah. We can edit.
Okay.
But
duty.
We'll just stop here. That'll let me know if this is where I come back in. Alright.
Yeah.
So anyway, I sent out a couple of messages and asking people to send us stories and on Facebook and stuff and about you got a good story, if you got, shout out to a crush or maybe a favorite teacher.
Right.
Or teacher crush.
Right.
Right?
Ooh, that would have been, yeah.
And we got a couple. And one that I remember, though, was Miss Bickford in biology high school.
She was probably the hottest teacher we had.
She was definitely the youngest.
Oh, shit.
That helps.
That does help, because I remember when Jack's older brothers got into school, I was like, man, there's some young, what happened to all the, and I was like, well, unless they got old and retired is what happened. Because that's all we had. I mean, we had one teacher that was in her 40s that always used to do the thing in the front row she'd put the football boys right in the front, and she'd wear skirts and, like, do this spread thing on her stool. And but, I mean, she was
a little older.
Yeah, she was a little older.
Yeah.
It's not, but yeah, I remember Bigfoot. I don't think I ever had Bigfoot.
I did my freshman year. I was like, I skipped.
Got it made,
I skipped walk.
Got it made.
It was science. Yeah, right. So I somehow I skipped over the science this walk and got into biology with Bickford.
Right.
So then there was sophomores. How this happened, I don't know. Anyway,
it doesn't matter, right?
Anyway, I graduated. We'll go with that. But no, I had a couple kids in the class, and one was I don't know if you remember Brad Voldemort, and he ended up dropping out because he wasn't going to graduate, but he was very open about his
hormones.
And he would just like walk up and just like fake, flopping on the desk and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
In front of her, like she's seen it.
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
And he would always be like, Mackie, you jerk off? You probably jerk off in this class, don't you? I'm like, Brad, leave me alone. And now she ended up moving me up to the front by Jeremy Barlow, because she was like, those boys back there are gonna corrupt you. She's like, you're trying to learn back there. And I'm like, yeah.
Trying to learn your ass.
And
thank you
so
for
she
the
moved
view.
me up there. But I wasn't suffering in the class. I mean, I was
doing all right.
But yeah, it was interesting.
Seems like there was another teacher we had that was kind of hot, but I don't even remember what class it was now.
In high school?
Yeah, but it might have been a student teacher too.
That's true. God, I'm trying to think now.
There was definitely no hot lunch ladies.
No. Not in elementary school. No.
Ever.
Librarians either.
No. I'm thinking about it.
Like, you hear all these fantasy stories.
Hot lesbians? Librarians.
Librarians.
Same thing.
Librarians.
Either way.
Yeah. No, didn't have any of that. And,
yeah, I hear these stories about 15-year-old boys getting sexually abused or whatever by their teacher. I'm like,
oh,
bullshit.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop, please.
I'm like, boys, if there's one thing I could teach you, shut your mouth.
Right.
If you're doing it, just enjoy the ride, man.
Just enjoy the ride.
And other than that, deny.
Yeah.
You want to tell your buddies once you hit college, that's fine.
Right. The statute of maybe. Is it? I don't know. But keep it between you and your buddies,
I mean, can you imagine as a father, if your kid came to you at like 15, 16, was like, Dad, so I'm banging my American lit teacher. And you'd be like, wait a second. You mean Mrs. Wilbur, the hot blonde? Right? The one that's 24 that always wears the miniskirts? Yeah.
Yeah, Dad.
That's my boy.
Well, son, that's the only way you're going to pass that class.
Yeah.
So,
give her hell, son.
eat up.
If you need to stay after class, you just let Daddy know. Don't tell Mommy.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I have her number, and
right.
We'll work out some schedule.
We're gonna have to arrange some after school meetings with this one. I really want to show her that intelligence runs in the family.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know.
Had a large IQ.
Like I can't imagine you hear this. That's such a. I just can't. The wife being like, "You hear what she did to our son? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's awesome, isn't it?"
Yeah. He's learning.
Yeah.
About something he'll actually use.
I
God forbid he uses the damn thing.
don't know. You said my stepdad Ben also.
Yeah.
Yes, my
Oh God, what was
my father by his poor life choices there, he got stuck with me.
Yeah. So he had a favorite teacher, PK.
PK.
And we talked about him. I don't know if we talked about him on the podcast, but
I don't know. I remember when I heard he passed. It turned out the last night that he was supposedly alive, he bought beer off of me at Pit Stop when I was working down there.
Crazy,
Had this little green MG, and then they supposedly he'd been sitting in the hot tub for a couple days when they found him.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long or you know.
He was.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He always makes that noise.
He was one of the funnest teachers. Though,
Yeah, he
man.
was.
Like,
I got thumped in the head by him once or twice
to
by
turn
that
that
ring.
ring around.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And
I mean, not saying I didn't deserve it. I mean, if he did it,
and
he was an attention getter.
He seemed to not care if you cheated, but as long as he didn't catch you.
Right.
He would leave the room, but if he come back in and saw you,
Yeah.
you're
fucked.
staple your notebook to the desk, and
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't get their notebook away in 10 seconds fails the test.
Right.
And it's like, well,
there was always the rumor
Yes,
that
I'm done.
he had that. There was a closet between him and Mr. Smith's history room,
yeah,
and it was he had a file cabinet in there. Yeah, had pit stains and all.
yeah,
And supposedly in PK's file cabinet that he kept the coffee maker on top of, there was supposedly a bottle. And I'm sure there was probably a bottle in there at some time. I don't know if it was still there when we were in school. Yeah, I don't think he gave a shit. He was just old school. And
he kept it in his car. At least.
I mean, if we were dealing with our asses at that age, I'd have to. Yeah. But he was a good teacher too, PK. And he called his wife Dragon Lady.
Dragon Lady.
Yeah. He must have had some feelings of affirmation about her though, because he stayed.
Yeah.
He really couldn't afford the house payment without her. Hell, I don't know.
Something. Either way.
He was in the Guard for a long time too.
Oh really?
Yeah. If I remember right. Seemed like that was the case.
Yeah.
I'm not for sure that ring anymore. It wasn't some kind of military graduation ring,
Could be. I never got a good look at it.
No.
Nor would I know that.
I couldn't see the imprint on the back of my head, so I couldn't tell you either. Like Ace Ventura counting the stones, on the back of my head. Damn it. No, that was a good one too.
Place is out.
That was band practice. I remember band practices at 7 a.m. We'd have an hour before and then the first hour of school. So,
yeah.
And everybody'd be showing up and you just felt like the biggest loser out there because everybody's wheeling and going to school and you're like, no, we've already been freezing our balls off for an hour.
Thank you very much.
Me and Josh showed up for band practice one time 5-10 minutes late. It was the third time in a week because I had to go pick him up and then...
I forgot he was in band.
Yeah. And Mr. Dodd, I think was his name at the time, met us at the back of my car. So he must have just been waiting at the parking lot for it to pull in. And basically told us to get our shit together. And of course, at that time, we're just
okay,
asshole. The fuck, man? What's the big deal? It's 10 minutes later. You figure over a week, that's half an hour at a time,
Yeah. You're making us lose everything.
Yeah, half an hour. Yeah, good times. We had a couple pictures from Jesse.
Yeah.
Well,
speaking of band, that was back when Maryville Band was good.
Oh man, yeah.
And
there was 120 some kids.
Much larger.
Yeah, there was 100. Our school at the time had to been. Well, we had 125 in a graduating class.
Yeah, because I was 124 of 120.
I think I was 113 or something, 111, something like that. But it was, yeah, I had to take correspondence courses to graduate. And it was like stupid, like math and something else, you know?
Yeah.
But no, what was I going to say? So there probably had to be 500 kids. Just 4 grades, 120, 125 kids, 130, whatever. So around about 500 kids. I think there was like 125 kids when we went to California.
Wow.
Yeah. And that might have been my junior year or something.
Have you been to a parade lately?
No, but I've heard. And I've seen them on
it's
YouTube.
Sad. I mean, it's sad. It's like 30 kids, maybe.
Well, and a lot of it is way back before us was Mr. Schneider.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one, they're the ones that donated the money for the performing arts.
Yeah.
You know, which I just seen that like last year at high school. I haven't been out there for so long.
Right.
It's massive.
It is, yeah, it's basically like Mary Lane.
It's nice to see that.
Or Ron House, whatever.
Well, and I wasn't inside. I just drove around the front of the school and I was like, oh shit, this road doesn't go through anymore, I guess.
It's 2 levels.
Is it?
Yeah.
See, and that's awesome that the school district finally got the money to do something with the arts, that they've been getting money to do something with sports for years.
A gym is not a place to play music.
No. No. And, you know, like I said, they've had money for sports, you know, for years, it seems like. And, you know, whatever, sports brings in more money than the arts do.
Sure.
At that level. But, you know, it was neat to see that. But Mr. Snyder, we went out to the university, and then Mr. Dow took over. But he was still doing stuff like Schneider did. And there was a lot of, I mean, he was all about details. And if anybody, whether it's a piece of music that you're playing, like on your guitar, or writing a song, and you're just using a different phrasing of a word, whether it's a car, you know, and you're rebuilding a car, whether it's you're doing a project at your house, whether it's whatever it is, what ultimately makes it different than everybody else's is the details.
True.
And they were all about the details. It wasn't just playing a piece of music or just marching out, you know, here's this and this is good enough as long as you're doing what this is called. They would drill that. I mean, just over. So upset when we'd screw stuff up, you know, but looking back, it taught, I think anyways, some of us a lot of self-discipline, you know, and that's probably the same for like football and stuff, you know, they're running those drills, just pounding it into them over and over, you know,
that's how you win.
Yeah, and I think that really sets somebody up for life, and you don't even realize it at that age, but now they get these, like we talked, these participation trophies, and as long as you do it, that's good enough. There's no dedication to details or efforts or extra or whatever that puts you a step above everybody. And that's something lost, I think, on our generation, probably the last to really see a lot of that. And I'm sure every generation said that to it to an extent. But yeah, man,
maybe it's finally.
It's really going. Yeah, I was gonna say it's really gone downhill.
Well, I had the same kind of experience in choir with Miss Ray.
Miss Ray, yeah, and
Miss Atkins doing the piano. She had perfect pitch. Miss Atkins did. And Miss Ray had relative pitch, I believe. But again, details. When do you breathe? How do you breathe? You know, and it was very much, you know, like you said, just drilled into you.
Right.
You know, this is how you do it. And then I took music theory from her as well. And not a class I did that well in. Because it was a little too much theory,
right?
And not as much just writing music,
right?
You know, which is what I was more interested in. But it helps,
right?
And
stepping stone,
but still ended up being one of my favorite classes, even though I didn't do that well in it. Just the experience. It was the first year they did it, and I think it was my senior or junior year. I can't remember, but. It was, you know, like 5 of us in there, and it was kind of a trial and error kind of thing. Like, we're never going to do it, you know, and then we'll figure it out. But it was, you know, very cool class. So yeah, she was one of my favorite teachers. And Pat, and didn't even know, we got an email from Pat again.
Right.
He mentioned Ralph Ball. The ag teacher. And
he was a character.
He did welding, I think, too. And some other stuff.
Over at the tech school.
Yeah. But he was a character. And Man, we had a lot of fun over there.
Man, I'll tell you what, the tech school had some characters as far as teachers.
Right.
I mean, because I took auto body my senior year, and I took it as a fuck off credit. That's what it was. And he did get up my ass a little bit, but most of the time, I'll never forget, we had a tour, like parent-teachers night or whatever, and he's like, "That's your mom," and I was like, "Yeah," and he's like, "How did you come out of that?" He's like, and he kind of did this expression, and if you're watching, he was kind of like, "Ooh, okay then," and I was like,
I could see
you pervert, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he would, I mean, God, I watched him put 6 inches of body putty into a car one time. He'd get all excited about it. And, okay, boys, that's how we do it, you know. I wouldn't have bought a car off of him or his old man of my life. And like I said, still one of my favorite teachers.
Yeah.
Actually worked out a deal with the shop teacher, Mr. Evans, which is another great teacher, Mr. Evans. He's passed away now. And then him, and so we did rocker panels and cab corners on Mr. Evans' truck, and so I passed both classes. Because I was helping both. I think, I wouldn't say I passed it because of that, but I would say there was probably some definite lenience on both sides because of it. I just worked it out. But, yeah, Mr. Evans had a cast on his foot, and there was a mouthy freshman in that class.
Cast really hard
Years.
high school career, I think.
And probably put his foot up somebody's ass. No, he was a Baptist preacher, and then he went on and he was a principal somewhere else, or a superintendent, I think maybe in Fairfax or something. Anyways, had a heart, I think, attack maybe or something, and ended up passing, or a hemorrhage or something.
Along those lines.
But he had a daughter in my sister's class, a daughter in our class, and there was a daughter a couple years ahead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was the. Got a little ginger on her, if I remember. Well, the one in our class was probably the wild.
She was a wild one, yeah.
The one that was a couple years older was hotter than donut.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mr. Evans, man, there was a mouthy freshman in our class named, last name was Porter at the time. I won't use a first name, but he ended up being real mouthy, and Mr. Evans was like, "I'm going to the office. I will be back in exactly 3.5 minutes." You know. He wasn't going to. He was walking to the end of the hall and walking back.
That's the end of the hall.
He was just kind of like, you know. And as soon as that door closed, man, it was that kid. You know,
it was on.
Yeah, he got some mentoring that day, but you know, he ended up getting kicked out of that class because he tripped Mr. Evans' trigger, and Mr. Evans just threw down his crutches and damn near threw him over a table saw, and like not running, you know, just like threw him over on it, you know. And the football players pulled him off of him. He pulled Mr. And it took 3 or 4 of them to get Mr. Evans. Yeah. He was not having Porter shit. But good memories.
Some of those kids, man.
They needed that mentoring.
God, if I could remember his name. There was a kid, it was our freshman year. He was a senior. Let's say his name was Casey. He had a shaved head.
Harmon?
He was kind of wild.
Right.
But I ended up, this is like the first week, you know, and I come from St. Gregory's where I had the same 12 kids in the class, every class, all day for 12 years or 8 years, you know, and go to high school where it's like in classes every hour. I don't know any of these fucking kids.
Right.
And apparently I looked at him wrong. He came up around the corner and I was like, looked at him, I guess, and pissed him off. Whatever reason. Probably just because, like, hey, new kid, you know.
Right.
That's the one.
Target.
He comes after me, puts me up against the locker, and he's like, "You look at me, you look at me," and I was like, laughing. I was like, "What the fuck?" You know?
Right.
I'm like, "This is just the most crazy thing. What the fuck?" And I'm laughing, and he's just like, "Don't laugh, don't laugh." And I was like, you know me, I was just like, "What?"
Looking back, that sounds like he was fucking with you more than anything.
Fucking headbutted me.
Oh no
and
shit!
I was like, "What the fuck?" And then just walked off, and I was like, still laughing. I was like, looking around, like, what the fuck is that? I was like, okay, whatever. Later that day, I had signed up for golf, and because I'm not very athletic and other things, so I'm like, I'll do something, you know, I'll do golf. So after school, go into the room for the golf class, and he's right there in the front, first seat, and I was like, hey.
So how's your head, buddy?
He's like, yeah, you here too? I'm like,
guess so.
yeah, I guess so, yeah. And he ended up getting arrested, I think. His parents put him in a institution. I think he pulled a gun on his dad, and
no, Jesus.
you know, one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, so there was no win in that situation anyway.
No, I was just like, guess I'm glad I didn't piss him off enough to pull a gun on me.
I
guess.
You know, I had a similar incident. It was freshman. It was after a basketball game. We were in a pep assembly.
Was this when you ran over Jesse?
No, and I still don't remember exactly how that happened. I know he was in the way of the car, and I was like, move, and then he kind of rolled over the head and the hood, and I think it was more dramatic than anything. But I did Nikki's knee on that one.
That was his story.
That was his story. Yeah. No, I don't. And that was like a Friday night or something. No, this was a pep game at a pep seminar. We played pep band at the ball games.
Okay, yeah.
Like basketball games. And there was a hall between the gym went out. There was a hall, and then you went a few feet and turned to the left, and that was a short hallway. It was a dead end, and the only thing it did was one door opened up on the right side to the music room, and the one on the left opened up to the band room. And there was a kid named Josh, and his last name started with an M.
I know who you're talking about.
Big fat bastard.
Yeah,
tall.
I had an issue with him too.
Did you?
Yeah.
And he went through the hall. His girlfriend was in choir, I think. She was a little girl, if I remember right, like short and whatever. Or she might have been in band. He was hanging out back there, and he was walking through the hall and kind of throwing his weight around. And of course, at that time, I was a freshman, like I said, and if I was a freshman, I graduated 112 pounds as a senior, so I mean, I was
100.
Yeah, maybe. And so I just remember him throwing his weight around, and I called him a fat ass or something like that. You know? What'd you call me?
Oh, he loved that, I'm sure.
I was like, called you a fucking fat ass, you know, and he picked me up to eye level and pinned me against the fucking that cinder block wall, you know. And he took my hair in the front, and he bumped my head off. And he's like, what'd you call me? I was like, I called you a fat ass, punk. What'd you call me? I was like, I called you a fat ass. He did it 3 or 4 times. By that time, I'm giggling. You know, but I mean, it hurt, but it wasn't like blood trickling or anything, you know. And he got so damn irritated because I was not about to not call him. He's like, I gotta control, and he's going off. And I was like, still means you're a fat ass.
Maybe you're getting your dick wet.
Yeah,
you're still a fat ass.
You're still a fat ass. So anyway, he dropped me down. I was like, whatever. And of course, by Monday, he probably the next day he probably forgot what my face even fucking looked like.
Right.
But I had one time shared a locker with a guy our freshman year, and his nickname was T-Bone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he stole health homework out of one of my books and turned it in, and so I went to the health class, and she was like, hey, you didn't make your assignment. I was like, no, this time I actually did it. And I was like, it just disappeared. And I can't remember her name. She was involved with coaches and PE and shit like that too. And but she was kind of like, hold on, who's your locker? And I told her, and she looked it up. Sure shit, it was my handwriting, and you could tell he'd erased my name and wrote his over it. And she's like, okay, we got this figured out. I'll handle it. And that was all there was to it.
It was Brom.
Yeah, that was sex ed. He taught us about all the discharges and the burning.
Of all people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a God? He's got a sense of humor, at least.
At least. No, there's a lot of.
Oh, Pat had all kinds of memories that he shared, man.
Oh yeah.
He had. Let me pull it up here again. Man, he remembers shit that I've totally forgotten.
And that's easy to do over 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes something will strike you and you go, oh yeah, that deal. Well, I had a Ford Tempo, 87 Ford Tempo.
I remember that the first one. Yeah.
First car. I think I paid under $100 for that car.
You can't find those anymore.
And ended up trading it off for a clutch in my 85 F-150, but
the blue one.
Yeah. Anyway, so I had that, and he had an orange Jeep that was actually owned by his dad's ice company, and then they sold that, and they kept the Jeep. off of that. Or maybe this is before they sold it.
That was before they sold it.
I think it was before they sold it. But he had it was orange at the time. He ended up spray painting it black. But we drive around, and when we see each other, we had got paintball guns. And this would be our junior year, I guess. We had our license. But we passed each other on Main Street and tried shooting each other with a paintball. At the end of the night, whoever had the most paint on their vehicle. Of course, he had no doors or anything, so it's like I'm trying
you
to
don't know if you hit anything or
trying
not.
to hit your hood, like, or you.
My God,
those were good days. And I don't know if you read through that whole email, but he had him and Josh, I guess, had a thing they would change lanes on each other when they met, until one day, I guess, Pat's dad was driving, and they looked similar build,
right?
At the
I mean,
time.
it was like junior and junior.
Yeah, same haircut, same build,
right?
And same height and everything. And I guess Josh changed lanes, and Jerry did not. Josh made his way back over, but that was the end of that. Not worth the risk, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, we still do that around here, and I'll do it in a fuel truck.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun when you have those kind of things with people, and do it when you're young, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Invincible, right?
Oh, God, man, my friend in high school, Aaron, he had a Buick Century, and I had an Oldsmobile. Same car, just different bodies, And we'd wait until ice capades. We'd wait until the weather got shitty and go out and empty in parking lots and cut cookies.
And that's how you learn to drive.
Yeah. Now they catch them doing that. And, yeah. But you got to learn.
I'll do it with my kids with me and my wife with me.
Oh, yeah.
Flips out, and I'm like, you got to do this to learn how to control a vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll never forget how fun it was when Ben used to do it. Yeah, Ben used to do it. I think that was when we really started, because I was into cars, and he was into sports.
Yeah.
It was just a difference in whatever. But when we goofed off, that was because honestly, that's where a lot of my humor I think comes from. Because you grow up watching your parents bullshit. Yeah. That's where you learn it,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, and I'll never forget the first time I seen an airplane because he tried to cover my eyes. We were living at the ranch and the airplane with the boobies. That one scene where they're going down and then the girl flashes in front of the screen for 3 seconds. And and he's like, oh shit, I forgot that was in here.
You do forget about those things.
Oh, yeah.
And you watch them with your kids and you go,
oh, my bad.
That was me with Caddyshack. And, well, now hell, you watch Disney movies and you're like,
I didn't realize that humor was in there. Yeah. You got a what, the girl?
Luckily, I don't think my kids are getting this, but I think it's hilarious now.
Jack loves, like I said, the old Home Improvement with Tim Allen.
Yeah. And
I didn't realize how many jokes that even they couldn't air it. And that was on TGIF Friday nights, ABC family viewing time. And they would even dare do some of that stuff now.
Yeah,
because it was just there was a lot of, race jokes or
And, that's what I love about his new show, The Last Man
Standing.
They don't shy away from all that stuff,
Right.
And they got the neighbor, I forget his name, black guy. But, they leave those jokes in, and they joke back and forth about that stuff.
And that's life.
That's life, man.
Part of it. There's one guy on that old Home Improvement episode that every time Tim would have an awkward moment and say something, that black guy would just have, and he's been in several episodes, and I don't remember him at all from being a kid. Right. We watched that, TGIF, because we only have one channel up the ranch. That was the thing. But every time something happens, he'll be like, hey, I ain't into that kind of thing. There's one scene where Tim's in a restaurant and the waitress hands him a bowl of cereal, or he's helping the waitress out, and he hands him a bowl of oatmeal with fruit, and he goes, well, then here's your fruit. And he kind of looks at the black guy, and the black guy looks at him and goes, hey, I ain't into that kind of thing, like that, because it's just fruit.
Well, you were fruit.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, good times. There's a lot of, when you really think back to, I'd love to hear people's high school stories, or especially what would be fun if we hooked up somebody that had a crush from back in the day, you know. And maybe y'all have both been through 2 or 3 divorces, and you know, maybe she has, maybe she's got 3 kids and 4 baby daddy now, and you got a shot. Write us. We can make this happen. I think we could set up a date, you know?
Yeah.
Hell, I'd be willing to pay for a movie and a meal at McDonald's for a couple respawning the flames. I mean, I'd pitch in for that.
Yeah.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
The rocks. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Let us know. We'll,
that'd be fun. Awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be fun.
Finding
I think people
love on the
that.
rocks. Yeah.
Love on the rocks. Little extra segment. One of these days.
Love on the rocks actually might be a positive thing in that venue. I don't know. I hope everybody has a good school year this year with this COVID stuff. It's going to be an adjustment for the way kids are learning. But, you know, I really feel like those kids are getting shorted out of, you know, 1.5 years, 2 years of their lives away, you know, some sort of normalcy. And as if things aren't different enough now, you think about some of those seniors and juniors that are, you know, getting screwed out of life, you know, and then I think about what is there essentially might be missing as far as education goes.
Yeah.
You know, and those kids that are just starting
out. Not so much the academic stuff, but
well, either academically or the social experience.
Yeah.
I mean, especially those kids that are in the middle of their social development.
Right, and that's where they're at. I mean, that's
so. I mean, this could shortchange a few people in a few different ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel for those, but I feel for the parents too. Having to homeschool your children. Good luck with that.
Well, and that's just, you know, I mean, do you send them to a daycare? You know, if they're not going to be doing school.
Well, some of the daycares
because you got to work.
Weren't even open.
Right.
I mean,
that's just it. It's like
Jack's been in the truck with me a lot.
Right.
You know, over the last 4, 6 months.
And you're lucky you can kind of do that.
Right. Not every parent can. So it's been a hardship for everybody in some form, I think. But I don't know, man.
We were just talking earlier about, you know, can you even really remember what normal is?
Right.
I mean,
After and you think 38 years or, you know, whether you're 45 or to go 6 months like this.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, do you remember what it's like to want to go to a concert and just go? Yeah. Or go out to a bar and just go. Go to a shopping and not have to worry about a mask or people looking at each other funny or now they're talking about aluminum shortages.
Yeah.
So there's not as much beer cans and soda cans and stuff like that. I mean, it's gonna affect everything eventually. Yeah. It just goes to show that our America, as far as the manufacturing, where we were after World War II, is just null and void.
Yeah.
We're that guy that used to do all the hands-on labor himself and work on his own car, and then he got a good job that paid well, and all of a sudden he just started buying cars that either had a warranty on them and traded every 2 years, or had somebody else work on them, and now doesn't remember how to work on shit.
Well, and I think, you know, honestly, I think there was a change at some point, and obviously there was a change, but sometime between, because remember when we worked at Eveready, there was a huge warehouse full of shit. You know? They don't have that anymore.
No.
Everything is like made as you order it. You know?
Right.
And it's like there is no excess of anything. The stores have just enough for this week.
Right. You can't go to Sears and be like, my refrigerator broke, I want that one, and they wheel it out from the back.
Right. No. We'll deliver it on Thursday.
Right.
You know, when we get it.
Right.
It's like, no.
Hell, I remember when my microwave broke, I had to go and order one. Yeah, and it was like,
crazy.
Man, actually, and when that happened, the funny thing about it was I went and they were like, well, that one's on back order, it'll be 2 weeks. I'm like, don't worry about it, I don't want to spend the money anyways. Instead of going to Walmart and just buying a cheapie, I was like, damn it, I want a nice microwave that I don't have to run 3 times to warm up, you know.
Right.
So I wanted one, and then I ended up going like 4 months without it. And so I was just warming everything up in the stove, and finally I was like,
you know what?
Okay, fine. I'll buy a microwave. And when I just would have ordered it the first time.
At that point.
Right. If I just would have ordered it the first time and waited the 10 days, I would have had it 3.5 months earlier or whatever. But that just goes to show my stubborn asshole side coming out.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
I don't know. There's a lot of high school. It's always fun to hear everybody's version of high school and how they went through. And, and our class reunion is coming up, so that'll be interesting.
September 5th or 6th, I can't remember.
And they canceled it once, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we usually try to do it around the fair.
Fair, right.
But yeah, that didn't happen. So
No, it did not.
I saw a thing about speaking of normal, it was like in 2019, if anybody said, oh shit, I forgot my mask, you would think they were fucking crazy.
Right.
Like,
we used to make fun of the Chinese with the mask on,
right,
because of dust in the air and shit.
And the thing is, a lot of them were doing it for your protection because they were sick.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm an asshole, man. Whatever. I was making fun of you. Whatever.
Not the first time I've been called that.
Thanks for not giving me whatever you got.
Yeah, why didn't you wear a rubber, though? I mean,
right.
Seriously, you want to wear a mask, but you won't wear a condom. And now your sister gave me that thing that you had. Crab's big enough to eat your lunch.
And they got, what, 100 million of you fuckers over there. There ain't no room for you.
It's natural selection, and people forgotten that that's what happens when you cram too many people in one hole.
China's a weird place. They keep going back and forth. When we were kids, it was like you couldn't have a girl.
Right.
And they'd throw them in dumpsters and shit if they had a girl.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then they went through a period where they were like, oh god, we're gonna run out of people. Okay, you can have girls now. You can
start
have
breeding
girl.
a little bit.
Yeah. And then now they're back to no girls. Fuck.
How about no flu? Wash your hands. Quit killing
Maybe that's
people.
why they did this, right?
It's a lot easier if they just swallow. I mean,
Right.
Or maybe if they took on the American females aspect of only putting out twice a year. Birthdays and Christmas after like 10 years of marriage. I was actually watching a video, funny enough. It was a woman reading sex advice from the 1880s.
Really?
Yeah, and it was basically read off that she's like, by the time a woman reaches 40, her birthing years are done, and if she's lucky, she has ended all sexual commerce with her husband.
Wow.
Yeah, which basically meant they got married and bred only to make babies. So they held it over a guy's head until they get married. And this book must have been angled towards women, I'm thinking. It was written in like 1884. So they held it over the man's head to get married, and then they would have sex to make babies, and then at that point, once the kids were made, then they would quit putting out. And I'm like, well, not much has changed. Except for they give it away free liberally until they find a man whose wallet they want in bad enough. Yeah. And then they quit putting out because you're special. I wanted it to be different.
I like to hold your hand.
Honey, the new car smell's gone. You can put out.
Yeah.
Once you've smoked in that thing a few times, you ain't getting a resale value. So, I'm just throwing that out there.
Getting some extra protein in the drink.
Yeah, I'm getting a few mosquitoes out there too. Man, mosquitoes have been awful this year. Speaking of which, this is random. I'm gonna throw out there. I mean, we're kind of getting past we're getting towards the last quarter of the podcast, aren't we? I guess. So I seen a motherhood magazine today in the mail. It was in a tub going to somebody, and it just said Motherhood Magazine.
You were in the tub, huh?
Yeah, I was in it. I was in the bathtub reading with a nice glass of wine, seeing if I couldn't suck my own nipple and lactate. No, it was a magazine in like a mail tub going to somebody, and I just happened to nose on top. It said Motherhood. The title of the magazine was Motherhood, and it showed a woman holding a baby and blah, 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 blah. And we've had this kind of discussion before, where women, by the time a child is born, she's had 9 months of getting used to the idea of being a mother. She's felt the bond. She's got it inside her, blah, blah, blah. We as men, we're there. We get you the mac and cheese at midnight and deal with, the horny second trimester and then the dry spell through the third.
Yeah.
But,
morning sickness of the first, if you're lucky.
We don't, right. We don't have that bond with the child when it poops out, though.
Right.
We just don't. It's we've still got to catch up a few weeks after it comes out. So I was just curious what the men's version of a motherhood magazine would be like. Like, you'd see the July issue, and it'd be like, jerking off in the shower because your wife brings the kids to bed to sleep and you never get any pussy anymore. Monthly. You know, it would be like, welcome to fatherhood, fucker. Yeah. Practice. You better get that shower in quick, too, because everybody else has used the hot water.
Right.
And you got about 3 minutes to wash your stank ass, your pits, and bust one out.
Which never get in there and go, do I have enough time?
Right.
to do that before I run out of water and wash everything?
I'll tell you what, if it's one or the other, I'll jerk off in the hot water and bathe in the cold.
Right.
Because I cannot jerk off. If it gets cold and shrinks, we're done. We're fucking out.
Yep.
I'm out.
Yep.
We'll
just knock this out real quick.
Yeah, and be done with it. Be done with it. How do you feel about people with handicapped plates speeding down the highway? I mean...
Well, I think we talked about this last week. You know, they can't go that fast. We talked about the fast teachers.
Right.
Speaking of high school. You know, can't move very fast in real life. And gets a sports car. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Runs a mile in 23.5.
Right.
Does 0 to 60 in 3.5. Oh, God. That does actually remind me of another story from school, though.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, it's another poop story, if anybody wants to hear this. Okay. So we had a teacher in, like, 8th grade. This is before you were come over from St. Gregory.
Oh, yeah.
He was a math teacher. And I won't say his name, but he had a mustache that Tom Selleck would have cried over. And he always wore, like, white jeans. Or, like, colored jeans. He never wore just denim, it didn't seem like. And they were also, like, the fat man elastic top jeans. You know what I'm saying? His wife must have really gone shopping for those, like Sears Roebuck.
Like, you ain't picking up nobody.
Right? Like, we bought the same jeans. I'll wear them on Tuesday. You can wear these on Friday. I don't know.
Oh shit!
But so we were taking, and he'd always have this thing where he'd go, "Come on, you guys."
Yeah.
And it was kind of whiny. He was kind of, whatever. So we were taking this math class one day, and we all smelled a fart. And it just smelled like complete ass. And so we're all thinking, oh my God, who did that, He's like, come on, guys, get back to work, It's a human thing. Everybody does it, Because, I mean, it is like hovering in the crowd, right? Anyways, you can see where this is going. Mr. White Pants gets up to collect the test, and he's got a streak down the backside of his jeans where he shat through the jeans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was. We never looked at him the same. And then we had a history teacher. And I'll never forget this guy because he coached girls basketball, and he always wore wind pants and a collared shirt and a sweater over it. So the collar was popping up over it. It was a sweatshirt. He wore a sweatshirt with the collar popping out and wind pants. And this is high school.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know who this. They called him Coach.
Yeah.
Coach K is what we call him.
We'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah. And the first day of his class, it was a history class. He actually taught history, and I had me, and there was a kid named Heath, and then there was a kid named Eric, and all three of us are sitting in a row. And yeah, good guy. And we were doing a chapter on carbon dating. And you remember what carbon dating is?
Yeah.
You look at the organisms, and depending on their development, tells you about how old the object is.
Yeah.
So the word organisms is in this. And I'm thinking, I'm reading, and I see it ahead in the paragraph. And because we go through, and each of us would read like 3 paragraphs, and the next person, and the next person, so on. We get through the whole chapter, reading aloud. And I'm like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. I was like the 3rd, 4th person of the year to read out loud. And I was like, don't say it, don't say it. And I come up to it, and I was like, the organism, or orgasms, and everybody busted up. So then he said it. Because he was just, Brent got away with it, and so we're all laughing about it. And then Eric said it, and Eric said it like 3 times, and Coach K sent him to the principal, and he ended up getting transferred out of that class to another teacher. And that was a bad deal.
Okay.
But, yeah, it was.
I kind of remember the end of that story.
Yeah.
But I never heard the beginning.
And then, but Coach K always used to sneak. He had the same glass that he drank out of, and I don't think he ever washed it. He just went out to the water fountain and washed it out, and so it had like a calcium ring on it.
Yeah.
In the middle of class, he'd hold that soda down under the desk and go, and everybody would hear it, and he'd be like, he did this, he'd kind of laugh and pour himself up. And then, but we had the old speakers that were up on the ceilings, up on the high on the walls, and you have to push the button to talk back to the office. Office beats him. He's like, Coach K, and he goes in there, he's like, yeah, and then they'd have the conversation. The whole time, he's like, go to the video, he's like fondling his balls, like, what are you guys laughing at? What are you guys laughing at? And he's like fondling, like like the masturbating bear on Conan O'Brien. Like, he's just like bouncing them around, like juggling them in these wind pans. And of course, the wind pans come with noise. Yeah. So it's like, what are you guys laughing at? What are you doing? And I'm just like, calm down, buddy. Like, they cannot be that big. I mean, and if they're that sweaty, you need some Johnson & Johnson on it. Talcum powder may give you cancer, but right now it's going to save us all an earlobe. You know, calm down, Jesus. And the girls would get to laughing so bad. And he'd just be up there juggling these balls like fucking Barnum and Bailey, like JoJo the fucking bouncing clown up there. Only these balls were like,
you get a ball and you get a ball.
Anyways, there's another couple high school stories for you. Interesting stories.
That's funny.
So this morning, I was in traffic, driving home, and I seen a big girl with glasses.
Oh, the big girl.
Oh, the big girls. And I don't judge anybody, because I ain't the prettiest motherfucker out there. And if anybody you want to argue with that I am the prettiest motherfucker, by all means, let me know. But
why do you think you chose me to do a podcast?
Video killed the radio star. She was a big girl, and it was a tiny neon green Chevy Aveo. You know, like the little itty bitty hatchback.
They used to give those away with the truck.
Right. Like $9,000 brand new or some shit like that. Anyways, there's a sticker on the back that said, "Just a Hogwarts student living in a muggle world." And all I thought was, I bet that girl hasn't seen some wand for a little bit of time. I'm not trying to be a dick or nothing, but damn. No, that was my thoughts on that. So while I'm also thinking about it, I do want to give a shout out to shout outs. Yes, the boys down at Gibson's Garage. I use them.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah, I do use them for probably about, depending on where shit breaks down, you know, I would say a good 70 to 80% of my shit. The big trucks sometimes have to go down to a diesel shop, you know, that does with the lifts and the parts and shit like that. But especially in the winter. But those guys do a lot of shit for me. And I guess Ed's son, Ed's the owner, Wade, found the podcast and shit. And also his friend PJ, I think, is the gentleman that
the notorious emailer,
the behind Gertrude's titties, the man behind the curtain, if you will.
Thank you, Gertrude.
Yeah, thank you, Gertrude, and thank you, PJ, for that.
Gertrude.
If that was your sister, PJ, I just wanted to shake your daddy's hand for one, and then I want to know how you feel about a brother-in-law. Because I don't know where you found those titties, but yeah, I'll trade you something. I don't even know. That was a nice ass titty. So shout out to them, and it seemed like I had another one this week, but I did want to throw out one to Josh. He gave me a good quote this week. We were bullshitting, and he goes, talking about women, and he's like, but what do? You know, do you trade semi-crazy for batshit crazy? I mean, I've already test drove that model. It ran good. The exterior wasn't bad for the age, but definitely had some electrical gremlins. That's a good reference. That's a good analogy, my good sir.
He's been there.
Yeah, Lord knows. Yeah, I think both of us have on that one.
Speaking of shout-outs, I'd like to shout out my brother-in-law, Jeremy. His birthday is today, actually.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jeremy. He's listening, and I think he's got his 3 sons listening too now. So,
are they old enough?
2 of them are underage, but whatever.
Well, when you say underage, you mean underage like of majority, or like underage but old enough to? Oh yeah, they're old enough to understand.
They're okay.
If you boys need advice, feel free to write us.
We've been there. Hell, they probably could teach us some shit now.
I'll tell you what.
It's changed, man.
And the girls have changed a lot too. Trust me, I dated a couple. Not like in high school. Well, one was actually a senior, but she was 18, so I didn't realize she was. Yeah, I get older, they stay the same age, and that actually reminds me, because I was watching, flipping through some old movies, and I got in a mood, and I watched one of. I'd always heard about House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie movies. They both had Sherry Moon. It'd be Rob Zombie's wife.
Okay. Yeah.
And I kept watching it. I was like, Jesus, she looks familiar. And then I realized she looks just like the 18-year-old that I banged. And I was like, damn, she was hot. I wonder what she's up to these days. But then I realized, you know, she's probably almost 20 by now, and I don't know.
She's kind of over her prime.
Yeah, the prime's past. She packed on that freshman 15, and she was only like 4'11", so 15 pounds looks a lot different on 4'11" than it does 5'10", you know. And,
well, it depends on where they gain it, you know.
oh, she has some big old titties. She did send me a picture after she got her nipples pierced. And I was like, man, don't ruin the property value. You know, don't go nuts getting a bunch of shitty tattoos. And
Yeah.
piercings can be fun, but damn ruin it. Yeah, it can ruin it. She wasn't that great in bed. Like, as soon as she finished, like, I hadn't even finished yet, and she was, like, grabbing for her phone.
You're done.
Yeah, she was like, one and done. And I'm like, really?
Wow.
She's like, oh, yeah, I get too sensitive down there. I'm like, okay, well...
Well, me too, but by God,
yeah.
if you're not done, we're going.
Yeah, we're like laying in a puddle. I haven't had my turn yet, and she's on Instagram. I'm like, wait a damn second. There's only one reason you're here, honey, because it ain't the conversation at this point.
Can you see your phone with your mouth open?
If I balance your phone on the end of my dick. Listen, I trimmed my balls for a reason, so it doesn't impede your view of your cell phone screen. Zoom, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. We're assholes. I can't help it.
Hey, you know, get what you get at this age.
That's right. 3, take it or leave it.
I want my phone unlocked when I'm drunk.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what else I got this year.
You know, we were talking about titties earlier.
Right.
And well, so to back that up a little bit.
Back that ass up.
Yeah, back that up. And so me and my family went down to the Redneck Vegas.
Right.
And Branson.
Uh-huh.
And we trying to decide what to do, and we decided to go to a show. And you can only go to one show down there, so it's so fucking expensive.
Right.
But we decided on the they used to call it Dixie Stampede, and now it's Dolly Parton Stampede. Here's the kicker: if you ever go, they trick you. You get to choose which color seat you're on, right?
That's
You're either on the red side or the blue side.
okay.
Okay? You think red side, south, right?
Right.
Blue side, north. No, they trick you. All right?
Oh, shit.
They switch it up on you. And I think they do it on purpose. To show you that you can't judge a book back cover or something.
Blah,
like
blah,
that,
blah,
right?
blah.
But anyway, it's no longer Dixie Stampede. It's Dolly Parton Stampede. It's expensive as fuck. However, I will tell you, the food is delicious.
Really?
The service is amazing. The show, by the end, I was crying, man. I was tearing up a little bit.
Really?
They got into the whole, you know, at the end of the day, you know, well, the whole show was a competition between the North and the South, right?
Right.
And one of them wins at the end, you know, and I don't think it's always the same team. It can't be, the way they do these things. But anyway, at the end of the show, they say, okay, here's the thing. We're all Americans at the end of the day.
Right.
We can all enjoy the same things. We're all just trying to fight for the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
And they bring out all the American flags, right?
No shit. That'll get you every time.
Waterworks, man.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, proud to be an American. You know?
Go
And
leave
it's like,
Greenwood with it.
and, you know, and my son's sitting beside me, and we've talked about how he's, you know, a fan of the Confederate flag and a fan of the South. And if I could pass something along to him, and I try talking to him, and I'm like, this is, you know, this is what I'm trying to tell you, is when these things happen, and you know, the waterworks start, it's because I'm thinking of all this shit that this country's been through on both sides.
Right.
North and South, Republican, Democrat,
Right.
switch sides and all this shit. And you can't get 300 million people to agree on anything.
On anything.
Right? But we've done pretty
Except
well.
titties.
Right. Except
Except titties.
That's where I was going with it. I'll get back to that. But oh yeah, this is a big fucking country with a lot of fucking people, you know, and to be where we are with the values we have, I don't think you can do better. You know, there's a lot of shit. Yeah. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of disagreements, and God, if we could get past the political bullshit,
right?
I think 90% of people pretty much agree on somewhere in the middle,
right?
You know,
right?
They try to divide us so much. Anyway, that's the whiskey talk. Now let's go back to, you know, what I was originally going to say. When we were kids, the titties were the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
big
yeah.
Hooters.
Yeah, big Hooters.
Big Hooters. And like we said, Dolly Parton was the...
80s and 90s. Pam Anderson was queen.
Pam Anderson, Dolly Parton.
Yeah. Titties didn't get better than
titties. And little
Dolly
ass.
Parton.
We didn't care about the ass.
No.
It was, you know, how your
ass
titties.
really didn't come out until late 90s and early 2000s with J-Lo really started that.
And now,
you know,
it's all ass, and titties have kind of taken a back seat.
They say tighter. Well, David Allen Coe once said, the tighter the kitty, or the smaller the titty, the tighter the kitty. Now, I believe he might have been talking about...
Is that an age thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, there might have been some Epstein coming out there or something. I don't know, but...
I love your music, but...
He was from the South, and, you know,
We'll
back then in the South, they used to marry him off at like 14 and 15 years old. Hell, I don't know. But, you know, I kind of went that way, too. In my early 20s, I was all about titties and ass. And now these days, I'm relatively confirmed with a little bit smaller of a girl. And I'll tell you what, one, they're easier to throw around. Not like in a violent way, like you're in the sack, you know, whatever. Got a spinner on you, and you. And the other thing is, at 45, at 40 and 45, they're not displacing as much water when you get in the tub, you know what I'm saying? You can still carry them to bed and not have to worry about your sciatica kicking in. You know, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, and you know, they got a small rack. By the time they hit 40, it maybe doesn't touch their belly button, and it, you know, then again, you know, thank God for upgrades, and I'm not judging anybody because I'm not the prettiest, again, not the prettiest motherfucker out there.
Oh, if I could afford to
but
fix
if I got
this.
Oh, yeah, it'd be done.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, honestly, at the same time, I mean, if I can have a choice, by God, I'm going to ride that bike all the way home, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to hop on that train, and I'm going to ride it from station to station, and the only time I'm going to get off is on the platform.
Fuck yeah.
And by platform, I mean her face. Laugh it up, boys. Look up at me and hold your mouth open like you're waiting for something. Damn it.
We're pulling in on time. Oh, man. You know, speaking of that, enjoy the ride. I was thinking about getting a tattoo. I think it's time for a new tattoo.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
And we've talked about this, I guess, already. But I think I've decided on one. Enjoy the ride. Because life is short, man.
Enjoy the ride.
You've seen it. And I think, you know, that really sums up where I'm at in life.
Well, my dad kind of lived that way. Like my biological, he lived, I mean, he was always doing stupid shit. Driving too fast, drinking too much, partied pretty hard. If you were with him, it depended on what side of the fence you were on as to whether you were enjoying that or not. I learned to pray on the backside of a Harley. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Right.
You know, Lord, if you just get me off this motorcycle safely, because he's doing 120 and weaving through traffic, if you just get me off this motorcycle, I will never swear. I will never masturbate. I will never. I'll never look at this. I'll never look at the Sears catalog.
And you're off the motorcycle.
I'll never look at the Sears Roebuck catalog pages, 300 through 320 again.
Well, maybe I will.
But
let's not get crazy.
Yeah. That night, thank you, Jesus.
For getting me off the motorcycle. All that shit that I said I was
We can put that on a time frame, right? Like,
Yeah.
one final. I
That's
don't know, man. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
another shout out I want to give this week. God, I feel like I bring things down every week.
Nah. That's why people listen.
This was not death.
Deaf?
No, not death.
Oh, deaf.
Death.
I thought you said deaf.
I brought death like 2
I
weeks
was
ago.
like, there ain't nothing wrong with fucking a deaf girl.
Who saw that earlier?
Yeah. You just sign out your moans. Let your fingers doing the talking. I do, small ass. We're gonna get emails finally about that.
Yes. No, we've got a couple of good emails, but yeah, it'd be nice to get some more. BJ on the rocks
at gmail.com.
There you go.
BJ, send your sister's titties again.
Yeah.
Or your mama, tell her. If
I hope that's local. Oh yeah. My dad is in the hospital, and I just want to shout out and get well to him. He's dealing with some shit, and it's not COVID or anything, but
Not herpes.
just some shit you deal with when you get older and
Life.
you have some health issues.
The circle of life.
Oh yeah. And I frankly don't want to have to deal with it. I would like you to get better and enjoy episode 15. So,
Yeah.
Here's to that. So,
Here's your dad.
here's
There
Dad's.
you
We know all about that.
go. Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Jessie
Yeah.
down in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah, she found out, I guess, that she made the podcast last week, and her perky wits kicked in, and
Nice to meet you.
she was before I had an even chance to respond. I was like, "So you made the podcast?" She's like, "What?" And before I could even respond, I didn't even read that message. The second message comes in. It was like, "About my boobs." I was like, it's boobs.
You watched that quickly?
Yeah, she's yeah. And I was like, is that your first time? Well, welcome to the party.
Yeah.
Finally got some support out of you.
Go
Jesus
back to
Christ.
episode 1.
Took
Make
you
your
long
way
enough,
through.
you
Yeah.
know.
You've got some
If you-
listening to do.
If you really cared, you know,
Really
if you
cared.
really cared. No.
You find out who your friends are.
Find out who your friends are. No, she's a good girl. Hard worker. She busts her ass for a lot of shit.
Thanks for listening.
And the fact that she's got nice hooters really, I think, adds to her personality. No,
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, I'd motor boat it. Yeah.
I wouldn't, but I'd listen to stories about you, dude.
Yeah, she's probably one of those ones. I got a few on the list that you're like, why didn't it work out and whatnot? That's probably
enough.
wondering, what happened, like
Yeah.
why it didn't work out kind of thing. It's like, was the timing just wrong? What's that movie, or what's that song out that Brett Eldredge got now? Gabrielle. Was the
Okay,
timing just off?
Yeah.
It's an earworm.
Yeah.
And at this point in my life, anyways, since I haven't been married for like 20 fucking years, I got to look back on my history and go, did I miss the one somewhere? Maybe.
We drove through Bolivar.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. That one was my fault. That one was my fuck up. Not gonna lie, but that was the one time I actually put a ring on a girl's finger. So, and then I sobered up.
It happens.
Actually, then her mother moved in with us, and I realized
That will do it.
that'll do. Yeah, I was like,
I
oh,
think that was on the podcast.
it might have been. That's a,
Yeah, we.
Everybody, I love when a woman says to me, "How come you're not married?" And I'm like, "Well, obviously because you don't know me well enough." Allow
I'd
me.
like to make a.
Let me start reading the list here for you.
I'd
You
like
got,
to make a quick observation, real quick.
yeah. Roses are red.
In
violets
one
are blue.
glass.
So are my balls. How about you?
Oh yeah. Well, most nights, yeah.
I've got a magazine for you.
Yeah.
Fatherhood.
We need to work on that.
Yeah.
We'll publish that here in the next few weeks. In one glass, I have Jack and Dr. Pepper.
Mm-hmm.
In another glass, I have water.
Right.
Apparently, the mosquitoes enjoy the Jack as much as I do.
I bet it's partially the sugar.
I have been digging bugs out of this glass all fucking night.
Digging up bones?
This one's been sitting over here
And not a one in
since
it.
the start of the podcast.
Yeah.
Not a fucking one.
Now, I'll tell you, if that doesn't say something about Mother Nature and your health, I don't know what does.
I'm going natural.
I like to raw dog it, too. Thank God for vasectomies.
Indeed.
You know what the difference between...
I'm not there yet, but
You know what the difference between being...
got no reason to.
You know what the difference between being cut and uncut is? As far as, like, not circumcision, but, you know, being a vasectomy.
Oh, okay.
It's the difference between a strudel and a Twinkie.
Indeed.
Good times. Good times. I suppose we should be wrapping this up time-wise.
No, they can enjoy it. I don't know, so we had to kind of cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a business call that I had to...
I'm thinking we're sitting around hour 20.
Yeah, that's
probably good.
That's probably about it.
That's good.
I had so much...
It's about our attention span for people.
Right. There was one thing I kind of did have a genius thought on this week.
Yes.
I wish I got that kind of enthusiasm out of dates.
I'm looking forward to that.
You know, women... No. That's another... I told you I had
Let's talk about that. Okay. After this.
Okay. I was going to say, otherwise I'll forget. You know how women coordinate their bra and panties and shit?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So they coordinate a lot of bra and panties or socks and shirts. But, you know, some women, they coordinate. John Waters used to be like, you got to coordinate. Coordinate. And if anybody doesn't know who that is, look up the father from Friday. Yeah. I don't know what happened in there, but you need to leave it alone for 30 or 45 minutes. You know.
Somebody open the window.
Someone, whoo! Something died up there.
Is job. J-O-B. Job. All day long, my foot up a dog. Anyway, go ahead.
It makes you wonder with these women as they're wearing these masks if they're coordinating the mask to their panties. So if you see a girl maybe without a mask.
Ooh.
Yeah, you see where I'm going.
Hey.
See, my mind goes all day. I mean, I'm just looking for that next taco stand to eat at. You know what I'm saying?
I bet you're right, because you know it's infringing on their rights to wear the panties. Jesus fucking Christ. That is a full-grown mom. I wasn't done yet, motherfucker.
If you're not watching this, you should be watching this on the YouTube.
That motherfucker came in for landing.
He
At least
just
we're not landing in the candle.
He
this time.
kamikaze that bitch.
Kamikaze. Well, he died now. Anyway.
So yeah, my genius.
The other genius idea.
Okay, so last night I was laying in bed. Well, I was getting into bed actually.
I'm still drinking.
And I'm planning ahead. I'm a planner. That's what I do. Now I won't plan dates or my social life, but work wise, I'm like 6 months out plan wise. That's where my forte is.
This falls under work.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of like my next challenge.
We're gonna make it.
Yeah. So come Christmas, we're thinking about doing dirty Christmas songs, and that's because John's ability with the guitar, and I'm a pianist.
Oh yeah. A big one.
So we're thinking about taking our original Christmas songs and maybe making dirty limericks and just coming out with. I would almost dare say we'd probably have to leave the video off of that because I'm going to be giggling.
We kind of. Where the fuck? We kind of started that last Christmas, if I remember right. Through text.
Were we?
You sent me a thing, and I kind of wrote back a thing, and then you sent back a thing.
Well, maybe it was on Snapchat or something.
Yeah. I'd have to go back through. Well, I can't go back through that, but. Yeah, that's I wish I could remember some of that because it was funny.
I mean, there's so many ways you can take so many songs.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, that's one thought we're thinking about. So if you haven't, Jesus Christ, I'm dripping everywhere. if you don't stick around for that, then you're a loser, and you know.
Yeah, we're still going to be sitting out here in December. All right.
Your mother fucks gerbils, and your father was an elderberry.
Man.
I'll buy a cheeseburger for anybody who can tell me what movie that line's from. And if it's a female, I'm going to eat said cheeseburger off of your ass.
Indeed.
It doesn't even have to be warm. I don't care. I meant the cheeseburger, not her ass. I mean, I'm not really into dead girls, but that would shorten the time frame of me finishing a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't move. All right.
You
think rigor mortis makes things tighter?
I would think. I mean, at least kind of solidifies where it's at. You know, I mean,
like that
no
joke.
Stretching going on there.
What about life, sex after death? It depends on your mortician.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. I'm finding out that people, once they listen, really enjoy this. I just hope we can spread it around. So y'all spread this around a little bit.
Please share. Please share.
It's too much fun to just stop. And
we didn't get quite as many listens, streams on the audio this week. But we got, if you count both of them together, the video and the audio, we got about the same. So I don't know if people are like, I want to watch the audio. Or the video, you know what I mean?
Right,
you
and
know?
see what actually happens.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's cool.
Are we that pretty?
If you are watching it, that's great. Let us know. Comment. Let us know.
Right.
Because I want to know. If we want to spend another, you know.
I want to know. For sure.
But, you know, we talked about that.
Right.
It's going to be a little bit of money.
Right.
But it would people really enjoy it. I'd get some lights and some backlighting.
Right. And when we say a little bit of money, we're not talking about like we're talking about enough to pay for doing
$1,000
it. Yeah. We're not talking about like we're gonna put new wheels on the go-kart.
Right. Yeah.
This is like it's like enough money to pay for equipment and like pay for the subscription fees that we have to pay to do this shit.
Yeah. So buy some t-shirts.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And thank you for the people that have supported us because
we
Lord
appreciate
knows.
it so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not even making the full amount off those t-shirts, so don't think that. It's like a few bucks on everything.
If I look at the profit on those, it's like nothing. You know?
Right.
But I'm like, whatever.
But everything helps.
The people are listening and they're engaging.
Right.
And the more engagement, the more we're gonna look forward to Wednesdays.
Right.
And I look forward to Wednesdays anyway.
And so do I. It's a nice change. I've had a lot of people. I had a lot of people offer to be guests, and it's one of those things where I would like to have a few, but I don't want to have guests every week simply because of the fact that I'm afraid it would throw the balance off. So maybe like holidays or something.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Oh, you know what would be fun? On Halloween. Oh, yeah. And people have to watch the video on that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it might violate some community guidelines with my costumes, but...
Yeah.
Anyways,
I didn't participate this year.
I don't know. But by all means, people...
You know, the thing about guests is you want them to enhance the experience.
Right. Right.
So, you know, if you want to be a guest and we don't choose you, it's not because we don't like you. It's because we're just not sure yet. You know, we're trying to
figure out what we're doing.
We're still trying to figure this out ourselves.
But by all means, I do look forward to having some guests.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, it's going to be fun. You know, and Josh was
so
much fun. That was a great night.
I don't remember half of it,
but that was.
And for a few minutes, I did check out.
Yeah, but that was old friends just getting together.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to bring on people that I've never met,
right?
That you've never met, is it changes the
chemistry
dynamic of the whole thing. Yeah,
right.
The chemistry and.
I do
take offense to it if we don't respond to you.
Right away, or
we want to be
we want to figure out what the hell we're doing for now,
Yeah.
and then go from there. But I will tell you what, I would like to have some guests, and I would like to continue hearing from people because it's just so damn good. And what's awesome is the people that have offered to be a guest. You know, whether it's been people at work or people that listen or whatever, they're always so enthused. They're like, man, like I had one guy, he's like, man, I want to party with you guys because it just sounds like a good time. I was like, I mean, I feel like that's awesome, and at the same time, I'm like, I'm afraid you'd be really disappointed because it's really just us getting drunk on my back porch.
And once it's over,
yeah,
frankly, we're done.
We're out. There's no partying. It's like,
there's not an after party. It's a Wednesday night.
We're packing up shit and going, no, tomorrow's gonna be a long fucking day.
Yeah, we've got to work tomorrow. So, but
that would be if we had a guest. I think we'd have to do it on like a Friday night.
Yeah, that would be better. But I do enjoy everybody that listens.
And I enjoy all the comments.
And the comments, the emails.
Referrals.
Everything. Yes, share it. And we totally...
I'll tell you what. If one of the girls down at the grocery store told me she'd listen, I swear to God, I'd do things to her with a cucumber. I mean, you want to talk about tossing a salad right there in the produce aisle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. If I was at work and somebody said, that's you?
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God.
I'm going to put a baby up in your
We fucking hit it.
Yeah. Oh, there's one girl down at the grocery store that I would...
Well, there's a girl right here.
I'm just saying.
Talk about that off here. Anyway. I'll probably edit that out. Anyway.
Yeah, no.
We probably better wrap it up.
I never do.
You don't have to.
But anyways, it's appreciated. So people, by all means, keep giving us the inspiration.
Yeah, we're here for you. Literally.
I mean, either way, I'll finish.
I mean, we're here for us. Anyway, for you. All right. Well, that's episode 14.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. What do you say? Episode 20, 25, like somewhere there. We probably ought to get like a guest or something in here.
I think by 20.
Yeah, something like that. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Good. That'll be, the weather will be cooling off.
Yeah.
And school will be settled in, hopefully. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever's going on with that.
Oh shit. Gonna be a good one.
Yep.
But until then, my friend.
Until then. The future's so bright.
I got some weird shit.
That's episode 14.
In the books.
See you guys next week.